Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to the progress report for June 2024. This is the 15th of June as I'm recording it. So, and I can't believe we're already halfway point, but we sure are. So this is where I come on and just tell you how the pens and inks that I'm writing with are, how it's working out. We did have one failure this time, so I won't be giving up totally on it, but I haven't found a solution yet. And I think it's an ink issue. So, but I'm going to do the grades first, and then we'll go through the ink journal pages. This is 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper in an old stock Bond Travel Gear notebook as usual. And we're going to look at, how it went, and then we'll go and chat in the library because I've got some exciting things I just wanted to talk about notebooks. That seems to be my my big excitement right now. Anyway, no further ado here. The first pen was the new Bindewerk Euphoria in the pink champagne with a broad nib, and this is my third fill in the pen. So I started out with J.R. Bond 1670 Fuchsia de Magellan, and it's a gold shimmer pink ink, which is just gorgeous. I love it. And I did 2 fills of that. And now I'm using Diplomat Orchid, which I think is gorgeous too. This was written with the with the Fuchsia, and this is written with the Diplomat Orchid. Actually, it's a little bit brighter. So it's been very interesting. And then I haven't cleaned it out yet. It's almost, the third fill is almost finished. And then I'm going to Krishna Winter. I love this ink, and I'm really interested to see whether, I think this broad nib will do fine with this sheeny ink, but I'm really interested to find that out. So, because I don't know, pinks are really calling to me lately. Pink inks, and it's unusual for me. I mean, I'll do that at Valentine's Day, and I like pink ink, but wow, it's just really unprecedented. So I gave it an A+ because this is a super smooth nib. I love these Schmidt nib units, and I love the pen. I mean, it's just real sparkly and happy, real happy. So A+, that just, you can't really beat that. Okay, so next up was Narwhal Original Plus with a broad nib and Sailor Gentle Grenade, one of my favorite inks. And this is an A. This is excellent. It's a really smooth nib, and it's got this ink has great shading. And and I'm warming up to the vac filler. At least this one, I did, a viewer mentioned taking the section off and just cleaning it that way. And this one does behave differently than the TWSBI one. So I was really happy about that because I thought they were the same. I didn't think this part would come off. I guess I was just under the assumption that it was like the other one. And so that does give you a nice access. I'm just chicken when it comes to these vac fillers. I don't know why, but that's really wonderful to get over that. And gee, I wonder why it didn't get an A+. Probably it was in the shadow of the first pen. I would say that had to be it, because there's some honeymoon going on with the new pen, the Bindewerk, and I would imagine that was it. But the next pen, the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris with a broad nib. Now I've always loved the nib on this. It's super juicy and smooth, and it's even better than the broad nib on my TWSBI Diamond 580, but only by a little tiny bit. It's just, so this got an A+, and this was with the no ink changes, because of course these vac fillers hold a lot of ink, and this is TWSBI Royal Purple, but I just really enjoyed this a lot. I mean, I like a purple anyway, and then like I said, I'm warming up to the vac fillers. Hopefully I won't mind taking that nib unit off and doing something with the cleaning. I haven't made a mess yet with that though. I will test that out and see how it goes. Okay, so next up was the little Moonman Q1 with an extra fine nib, and this just really shocked me. Let's see, I've got a little out of order business with my Oh, I don't have the tile. Oh, that's awful. Well, let's see, maybe it is here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. I've been all over with these tiles because I had to find a few extras. So I put Diamine Oxford Blue in here. It's one of my favorites, my favorite blue black. It's my favorite Diamine ink, and it's just so superior with flow and everything. And this gets an A+. In fact, I even thought so much as to think that that nib probably should go on another pen. And I could find out, because that's a number 6 nib. And as much as I like this little pen, the pen itself is not really a pocket pen for me. It's way too big. So I was thinking, but it taught me something about if a extra fine nib is smooth enough, I'm down for it. And that's a very delightfully thin line width, and yet it's smooth. And that's the only way I'm going to write with a pen. I can't stand scratchy, feedbacky nibs. So anyway, this was anything but, and it got an A+. And I'll be writing with that for a long time. That fill will be with me for a long time. So, and after that, I may take that nib and put it somewhere else. The evil plan. And I may put like a broad nib or a stub nib on here, because then I could use that ink up faster. That would be kind of cool. Okay, so let's see if I can get back on track with my ink tiles. Yeah, I had them all scrambled and was a little bit lost. But the next pen is the Schneider Coed Classic. And this pen kind of, it writes good, but it's drier than I'd like. But that's an advantage on some papers. And so, but what I ended up doing, I ended up inking up TWSBI Eco with a medium nib. And I'll show you in the comparison pages when we get there that, yeah, I proved the theory. This definitely does write a lot drier than TWSBI with a medium nib. And this is a medium nib, and it's smooth. I have no complaints in that department. But I gave it a B because I'm too used to the experience with this. This is Graf von Faber-Castell Stone Gray. I'm just too used to quite a bit put more ink going down at once, and that makes it feel smoother too. But, and you know, the pen body, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I would be really comfortable just throwing this in a like a tote bag, and even long term with an ink that I trust, you know, because I think these never dry out, it seems like. I could test that theory a little bit further, but by doing that, and it probably will. Let's see, because I haven't written. Okay, I've written it about halfway empty, but I have a tote that I take with appointments with manual and stuff, and I might just continue to test this rather than leave it, because I'm not likely to pick this up to write a pen pal letter. Although I did a couple times just to continue the testing. Okay, then the next one, the next one I put the pen away already. It was a Lamy All-Star. I started with a 1.5. And then I moved on to a broad nib, and the combinations would only give me just a little tiny bit. It's the Pelikan Edelstein. Gosh, I put the tile away? No, here it is. It's a beautiful ink, and in fact, we'll see that. I've got some swatches. It would only give me a little bit of writing, and then it's tricky. It would just clog up the feed. And I wasn't completely ignoring it, even though, as you could see, I've got quite a few 9 to 10 pens inked up. And so, yes, it's been busy, but I've been writing letters and keeping busy with the pens. So I've got to find a pen and nib combination, a feed that will deal with this. It's a beautiful ink. So I'm not going to give up. And if you already know, if you've got one, you've been probably a number 6. In fact, I just pull out a Jen Hal with a number 6 nib, but after it happening twice, I was really frustrated, because that's kind of a test that I used to do. If a Lamy broad nib on a Safari or a Vista wouldn't do it, then I don't really want to continue my ink. I don't want to continue with an ink if it won't handle, you know, being in a Lamy broad nib. So that's how that turned out. And then the next one, in the Heinz Custom Blue Storm, I put the Pure Pens Coronation Blue. Now, this is a really saturated and heavy sheener, so I was finding that there were a few times when I got a little bit of a, what would you call it, a skip. I think this needed to be written with a lot, you know, continuously day to day. So, but it didn't ever have to be primed per se. It just had to be written with, you know, real consistently. But I gave it an A. It is, yeah, and I thought maybe, let's see, this is an Opus 88 nib unit with a broad nib though. So I think I just prefer an ink that would just flow, well, more like a pilot ink maybe, but you can't beat this for beauty. It's got really nice sheen, and it's so dark and pretty. I love it. Okay, so then next up was the Jinhao 159, the metal heavy pen with a broad Knox nib with Colorverse Gravity Wave. And that's one of my favorite inks. And I gave it an A-. It tended to kind of dry out a bit. So again, but that's not the first time I had it happen with these pens. So I don't fault the ink at all, because I've had the ink in TWSBIs for months on end, like, you know, just for 3 months. So I know it's not that. So, and I have to prime this a couple times, and I've had to kind of, you know, encourage the ink. And so that was a little discouraging, but I still felt like if I was on top of it enough, I still gave it an A-. It's a really nice, a beautiful nib. And now I can't wait to try that nib on another pen, because I do think I get more consistency in my X750s, but that's just me, and it could be that I had a lot going on this month. I'm sure I did, as you can see, but it still didn't get a bad grade. And then next up, okay, I've got one that's on another page, but I inked TWSBI Eco with a medium nib. This is the black and rose gold with the Pelikan 400 Brilliant Brown. I didn't think I had this ink, but I did, and it's very nice. It actually looks almost orange in this combination here, but I gave it an A, and it does dry darker than it goes on. Yeah, I was noticing. I don't want to scribble here or we'll smear it, but this has been fun. And again, I know this won't dry out, this pen, so I can keep that going for, you know, I'll move it to my secondary pen tray real soon here. Okay, then next up, I got to be careful because I've got a little bit of I inked up a Jinhao 82, and I put on, I think it's a Knox broad, oh no, OBB, oblique double broad, and I'm using diamine metal in this. And I knew with this nib, I sometimes get a little bit of where I have to, it has a sweet spot, I think. So I'm just looking around, and I will eventually get a broad nib for this, because I really like this clear Jinhao 82. It's gorgeous. And I went a little overboard here inking up pens, and I have another one too. But we'll come to the page for that one in the ink journal, because I ran out of room. So I think we'll stop here, and then go on to the pages. Yeah, it's very pretty, and I'm looking for a standard broad nib. Yeah, I don't want to pull it out of the black Jinhao 82, so I don't want to move it around, and the sections are not the same. Otherwise, I could just switch the whole section, but I'm not going to do that. So this has been really fun. I'm not getting along totally with that oblique double broad, and I think it's either me or it may tend slightly toward drying out. I'm not sure. I don't have enough experience with that kind of nib. So let's go ahead and switch page here, and we'll start right in with the Benu Euphoria. This is all in the fuchsia Magellan, and it was a second fill when I got to this part here, and I love the ink. I love the pen and the experience of the smoothness of it. And then the Diplomat Orchid is just a little bit brighter. Let's see if I hold it up, you may notice. It's just a little brighter pink. And I really like that too. In fact, one of the other next fills for that pen will be the Azalea, the Pilot Roshizuku Azalea. But like I said, I really want to try Krishna Winter. I don't know what's going on with me and pink, but that's going to be the next one, I think. I guess the pen's just going to keep going and going. It's going to be like a new song, when you hear a song that you love, or an old song, and you just play it till you can't stand it anymore. I guess that's what it's going to be. But it could be years, so. Yeah, so I loved both feels. It's all A+ there. And then the narwhal with the nib change from double broad down to broad, this broad nib is so smooth. And it's just a wow combination. I really like it. So I'm getting excited about bonding even further with that pen. And then over here is the TWSBI VAC 700R. This is not really fair because I know so much about the TWSBI Royal Purple ink. I'm used to it and I love it and I didn't have any problems. So it's probably not an experiment as much as just comparing the two. And I think as far as finishes go, there's no way that I could really compete with this. Except that if you know me, you know that I go for my TWSBI Diamond 580 in the iris more. And that's strictly the filling system then. It's just me trying to, oops, I'm going to ahead and tighten that, get used to it, because the nibs are almost the same. And you just have the slight different tapering in the middle. But between these two, I really like the narwhal. It's really nice, and they're really affordable too. So they've got my attention, that's for sure. I just don't know about nib consistency. I'm not sure yet how that will be. Okay, and I got a little creative here. I had fun kind of like tracing the pen and then trying to go ahead and put it here. I love doing that when I take the time to do it. And like I said, this is just so smooth, just wonderful. Not one single bit of drop I don't see in, you know, the nice ink saturation throughout. I mean, it doesn't get weaker or anything as I go. And then again, with the next one, with the Schneider Coed and the stone gray ink, I'm just so used to the TWSBI medium nib. So let's look at how that compared, because here, for some reason, I'd left a blank page. Maybe I knew what I was going to do. This is with the Coed. Oh, and the TWSBI is over at my other desk, but and this is with the TWSBI Cement Gray, and you could see the width difference, and you can also see in the smear test here. I just got quite a bit more movement with the TWSBI medium nib. But I can see for students that are writing on cheaper paper, which I'm just not doing right now, but I've had my day of doing that for sure. I think that this might really help. And I was using it on my grocery list, realizing that, you know, it didn't even ruin that paper. So that was wonderful. So it has its advantages when it's not like gushing out. Okay, and then I had that little paper in there. And then the Heinz Custom Blue Storm. This went really, really well. Just later on, as the, 2 weeks wore on, I did see that I need to use it very consistently with this ink in it. This is the Pure Pens Coronation Blue King Charles. Wow. Did I have that? Didn't even have that tile out. I must have done something with the tiles. Here it is. I got them all scrambled this week. Oh, it just shows how busy I've been at the pen desk, and I really have been really enjoying it. So it's gorgeous ink. Okay, that won't be hard to clean. I was going to say it's going to be a cleaning nightmare, but no, even with the saturation and the sheen, that's not really a hard pen to clean out. Maybe the converter might be the... I said stunning base color. Yeah, I like to use my water brush to bring it out, and that's just so gorgeous. Really pretty. Okay, and then this was the Pelikan Edelstein ink, and so I'm so frustrated because I would put it in, I put it in the 1.5, and that didn't surprise me in a way that a stub would maybe have problems, but then when I put it in the Lamy broad nib, I was really bummed because I could get just a little, and then it would just clog up on me. Yeah, and we've all had that experience with different inks, I think. And I'm too used to now to just turning to J.R. Bond shimmer inks. And a few of the diamine ones that I know that are not going to let me down. So I don't know. This may be just dry enough that it just is out of my range or something. But it's gorgeous. It makes you not want to give up on it, that's for sure. So then here was the Jinhao 159 with the broad Knox nib with Colorverse Gravity Wave. And it got a little messy because it didn't always dry real good. Here it was okay, but I made a mess on a couple pen pal letters. And this is my eraser, my water brush. I just try to make, you know, something pretty on the page. Because most of the people I write to really like fountain pen ink, so it's not a real bad insult, I guess, to have... Because sometimes you'd have to write a whole page and a half over if you know, recovered from that. So that's hard. Okay, so next was the TWSBI Eco Rose Gold Black. Okay, I really would rather see this Pelican Brilliant Brown, wherever the tile went. Can't keep, they're like stray cats here. Can't keep track of my tiles. Here it is. I'd like to see this in a broad nib. So I do have I have a yellow TWSBI with a broad nib that I could put this ink in. In fact, I could just, you know, empty this out and put it in there. But I had so many things going on that I haven't done that. Not yet. Because I like this, but it feels a little bit ink-starved in a medium nib for some reason. For me. But you know how I am. It's just pretty typical that I would feel that way, I guess. Okay, so then the little Jinhao in the, you know, the clear one. I'm not sure what they call it. Transparent, fluorescent, I think is what it said on the Amazon listing. I did real good with this, and I started with a medium opus nib, then I put the oblique double broad, and I really, yeah, that was an improvement. So here was the medium, and here was the double broad. But I'd like to see it just with a regular broad nib. Okay. Oh, this was the pen that I did not have included in the front because I got so carried away. So this is another Jinhao 82. And I found a Fude nib just sitting in my little nib drawer. And I pulled the one that was on here and put this in. And it's super nice. Now, I did notice that when I picked it up to write again, the ink was darker. I wonder if that's the case now. Let's see. Okay, so this is, yeah, it just, the ink seems to be darkening. June 15. I have not noticed that before with my other, not with these, with the Jinhao 80s I have, but I haven't noticed that before with this. But this is a really, it's possibly something to do with the nib, I don't know. No, that doesn't make sense. Not really. Ooh, that's a gusher though. And I really like it. I've used it on several pen pal letters, so you may have already seen it. I guess I considered this just a nib experiment, testing the Fude nib. Yeah. I was excited to find one. I didn't want to pull them off of my Hongdians because I've got the purple and the rainbow Hongdian that I just don't want to mess with. They're writing so well. I figure why do that? So it was nice to find that. I have no idea where it came from. I can't remember. But this was really good. But this was a revisit to see how it was still performing. And it just, the ink darkened. But other than that, it looks really nice. So, okay, so this was something this is in preparation for, not top secret or anything, but I'm not ready to show that yet. So, so that is where we're at. Let's see. Let's bring the pen tray over. If we can. So I ended up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus the TWSBI Cement Gray that I put the Faber-Castell in. So that's like 10 pens and a couple stragglers from last month, but they're getting washed just as soon as they, unlike this one, the other pens, as soon as I finish the fill, I go and wash them. Well, this I go and clean it and put another ink in because I'm not finished with it by a long shot. So I'll just keep on playing that song and enjoying it. So let's head over to the library because, let's see, this is probably already getting long, but I really want to talk about notebooks today. There, over at the library, just to talk a little bit about notebooks today for the end of the video. It was really exciting because what I decided to do was go through all my notebooks and choose one to, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to call it. I was going to call it just my pen hobby bullet journal, but that doesn't sound right. I've been using a lot of pages in my main bullet journal for video ideas and even for tracking ad revenue and other little wish lists and stuff. And I decided I really wanted that in a whole separate notebook. And I wanted to use something that I already had. So I went through a bunch of notebooks and I did a test page, because in this particular notebook, I really wanted to be able to use any of my fountain pens. I didn't want to have a problem, and I didn't want to go buy another notebook for this. So just to make a long story short, after going through everything I had, I decided to use this one. And this is a Bindewerk, made in Germany. Let's see, can't remember, it has a name. Let me see. I think I wrote it in the back of it so that I could remember. It's a Purist black notebook. So it's an A5, and it's lined, and it wasn't numbered, but I numbered all the pages, and it's nice. It's got a pen loop over here on the side. And what really sold me on this notebook was, one, I haven't used one like it. So it's a chance for me to explore a new notebook and take you along too. And then with the pen test, nothing bled through. And I could not say that about some of the other notebooks that I tried out. So I just was thinking, I'm going to have this notebook, because it's going to be dedicated to lists and stuff. It's going to have incoming and outgoing pen allowance, and it's going to have, you know, ink wish lists and different things where I can put everything on the index, video ideas. I have a little ad revenue chart here that I've started, because I like to do that every year anyway. But what I find is then if I want to look back, I have to dig back into several different bullet journals. So I would think that a book like this would last me at least 3 years, because not that I'm going to be using it exclusively. If I happen to be sitting there with my bullet journal and a good idea comes to mind, I'll just work it all up in there and maybe cross-reference it in here for me to remember that those pages are in the other book. But, you know, I've got a video idea, and then I've got, okay, so the second part of it is the notebook that I wanted to use for this really was was this one, but July 1st I start my new bullet journal, and they last me a year, and this is the one that I have, so I really need that for my own organization. So anyway, I did a little further testing in the back of the one that I'm using now, and the paper in the Bindewerk is better. It is thinner, but it's better than this paper. So I mean, by better, I mean absolutely no seep-through, because I'm one of those that I get bothered by seep-through or bleed-through. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. So anyway, this works fine for my bullet journal, because I'm not as fussy about what I'm going to use for my pens, really. I'm perfectly happy with a medium nib TWSBI with anything in it. Just, you know, give me my Faber-Castell Stone Gray. And then I still use some felt tip markers, you know, just for color and everything like that. But anyway, I'm excited because I really think this will be one I'll stick with, and I'll have a reference for a lot longer. In fact, it makes me wish that I had carried through the ideas much sooner, because I can go back and I can track a lot of things, but I'm going to have to go digging for the information. And that's okay. On a rainy day, I can do that. But this will give me a place to really make some planning again, and not to feel like I'm gobbling up bullet journal pages. It's just going to work, I think, really good. So then the other notebook, one of the other notebook subjects is that I did finish the Graphilo notebook, and I started on the Good Ink Impressions, this one here, and it is 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper, and it's a really neat, you open it up, and it's kind of got almost a Midori feel to it, as far as this is just sort of a cover, but it lies flat, so super good. I got this at my local Barnes & Noble, and let's see, I didn't do much pen test in the back of it, but 68 GSM Tomoe River Paper, I haven't had any problems with bleed through. I might have had just slight feathering, but it was Caran d'Ache ink. And it was, let's see, Divine Pink. And it wanted to feather just a little, but it was gushing out of another Bindewerk pen and a broad nib. So I would expect every once in a while to have something like that, even on Tomoe River paper. But it's a nice lined journal, and I'm enjoying that. So then, just, I guess the final notebook note was that I was just going to talk a little bit about Hobonichi. So I'm in a still, for this year, a Hobonichi Weeks. And there's this weird thing that I've realized this year, and that is that I like this notebook holder. It's a Galen leather. And that is why I want the Weeks, because I like this zipper folio so much. And I was thinking to myself, well, if I like it that much, then I just need to find a different use for it. And I don't have to keep buying those Hobonichi notebooks unless they're blank or something. Because what I find is they're great for ink testing and stuff, but I don't prefer that kind of paper for my actual planning, which is not huge. I mean, I do carry this when I go with my sister-in-law, because on appointments like that, I need to make sure that they don't, butt into, have Manuel's appointments and her appointments need to be different days and stuff. But I can get right back into my little dollar store, the little folder type weekly, what am I trying to say? The little weekly planners that you get for $1.25 or whatever. But I can't give this up. So this was what I was thinking. These are some that I ordered quite a while ago. I had one or something, and this was before my no spend. It was last year. These are, I bought these locally. They're Office Depot reporter notebooks, and they're not very fountain pen friendly. But I think I could find a reporter notebook that would be. In fact, I saw one on Hemingway Jones' channel. He was using a Clairefontaine, and I thought, well, I don't know. I don't always love Clairefontaine paper, but that would be an option maybe. And two, I can do a test in the back of one of those to see what works. Again, I think I've done that before. Because I just won't. And this is set up in a way that you could put that reporter notebook, you can hang it right off of here, and it fits and everything. So that would be really cool. I mean, I like the Hobonichis, I really do, but I like to use fountain pens. And they smear all over the place. So I have not the patience. So I'm using, a nice little ballpoint pen, but I'm not as happy. I don't want to spend that much money on Tomoe River paper and then use a ballpoint pen on it. That's just being honest. And I have watched, I don't know how many videos trying to figure out what do other people use in these, but it just doesn't stick with me. So I think that I found the solution. I want to carry this. I want this with me. And even if I just had a reporter's notebook and wrote in the next appointment and then transferred it, I could probably bring a sticky note with any dates to avoid or something like that. I don't know. It's a work in progress, but at least I figured out why I kept buying those even though I'm not using them, because I just wouldn't give up that notebook cover. I just want it in my life and I want to use it. So I love it. Okay, so that was pretty much the meat of what, I have no notes, nothing like that, but things are going pretty well. I got caught up, it makes twice within the last month or so that I've actually got caught up with pen pal letters, and now I have 4 in my to be replied to pile, which is always good. That keeps it interesting and keeps me going. And the cats are all doing well, and we're just we're looking at the weather other places and realizing we're not the only place that's hot. And we're also fortunate that we haven't been hit with a storm yet. So I hope we won't be, but I feel really, really bad for those who have. And just looking at the severe weather is enough to make me turn all devices off and not look, and just look at the weather report, I guess, to be ready. Because we're hurricane ready, and we've been prepping and stuff. So I think I don't have all that much beyond, you know, how it went with my pens and inks and all of the, I really have had a really good time looking over notebooks and choosing that one. And I'm going to bond with it even more. Once I get messy in it, that's when I know it's a keeper, and I'll be locked in with it. But I like the paper so much in this one. Oops, there goes a little paper. I don't want to lose that because I will review this eventually. And this one as well, the good ink impressions. You know, I'll talk about how it went after I've been with it long enough. But it's interesting. This is kind of a, it feels almost like felt, or it feels like my mother's desk blotters used to feel. And I wonder if that was on purpose so that you can use this as a sort of a blotter. But I always like to put a sticker, and I had a Dromgool's typewriter sticker. So I think that's pretty much all I have to blab about today. But thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much for all the response on my pen fast video where I'm talking about, you know, that goal of going 3 months, July, August, and September without purchasing pens, but making my plans and gathering my pen allowance and ad revenue so that maybe I'll have more choice and more opportunity when sales come around in December. I really had a good time reading all the comments, and there were a lot of people who had really wise things to say that I really listened to. And of course, I've hit it several different years where I was completely broke in November and December, like as if, you know, these sales aren't going to come every year. It's just like, we know Christmas is coming every year too. So it's like, you'd think I would learn after a while, but I think that, yeah, I just think that the money, the pen allowance or the ad revenue would come in, and I would just turn around and buy something rather than deliberately and more carefully considering, you know, comparing, well, it could be this or it could be this. And with me, I just like to have the option. Like, I'd like the option of ordering the ink vent, even if I decide that I'm going to be too busy to do it, then I won't, and I won't need it, that kind of thing. But there's something about having more freedom of choice that is really fun. So I was really excited to hear that I wasn't the only one that was sort of looking that way. Like, not saying, well, I'm never going to buy another pen, and not selling off all my pens, but just slowing down and becoming more deliberate. And you know, maybe holding off a lot longer on those little fast food pen purchases, like, you know, because they're wonderful. Those Genhao 82s get me every time. And so it's going to be a long 3 months in that regard. But but I've got that resolved now and a plan, and I think that really helps. It usually always does. So I will see you on the next video, and I'll see you in the comment section. And thank you so much for tuning in. You mean everything to me, so I'll see you later. Bye for now.